Hi, I'm Emily Raggart, Senior Editor with NAB Amplify. That was a lot louder than I expected. I'm here today with Will Offeman from WideOrbit. Hi, Will.
Hi, Emily. Thank you for having me here.
Let's talk about WideOrbit's origins.
Yes.
I understand that the company was founded in order to make buying and selling media easier. So a lot of that process has changed. There's increasing demand for omnichannel buys. How is WideOrbit handling this and making it easier specifically for broadcasters to manage this aspect?
So, super fantastic question, Emily. As you said, WideOrbit's about 22 years old now. When the company was started, it was really to make it easier to buy and sell media, and a lot has changed in the last 2 decades. With regards to digital, when we first built our system, it was for traffic, sales, and billing. And the trafficking piece is really the back office operations. It's about setting up schedules and entering orders and putting back then spots into slots. With digital, the whole ecosystem changed. And instead of first tackling the front end sales efforts, we decided it was way better to go into the back office so that people don't have to swivel chair between different OMSs to do their work. So the first thing we created in our core system was something we called digital orders. So it allowed a ad ops person to not have to go directly into the ad server to enter in what that insertion order should look like. It communicates with the GAMs and the freewheels and the other ad servers, but it lets them work in an environment they're used to. It lets them deal with the same accounts, agencies, and advertisers, put those orders in, execute the whole process, and then what our customers appreciate is then produce an invoice so they can actually get paid for it. And so we can produce a combined linear and digital invoice for our customers. So that's the start of what we did. The next thing we added was addressable logs. So our bread and butter is quote unquote linear. Linear is just a sequence of content with advertising. In order to move to the next phase, we've got fast channels popping up, we've got multicast, a lot of different opportunities for our broadcasters to monetize their content. We wanted to make it super easy to create an addressable log. And the main nuance for an addressable log is we're able to hint at the pods, the time blocks, what should happen to that commercial load. And so I'm a big believer in broadcast. So people will often say, I want the right message at the right time to the right audience. And I'm a big believer in, I want a common message to a common audience at a common time. Brands really want unduplicated reach, and it's something that that broadcast can do better than anyone. The ability to tell the log, this linear schedule, and help a digital ad server say, I actually want this slot to have a broadcast reach style play. So if it's in market, in DMA, I actually want my digital ad server to serve the same content as what was purchased for the linear log. Now they have all sorts of additional capabilities, right? They could change the creative around, they could do all sorts of different things, but getting that unduplicated reach out there, we felt was vitally, vitally important. So we started, let's clean up the back office, and then what we're just coming out with, we call WO Fusion. That's our next generation media sales tools. So we have a strong tool set called WO Media Sales. We're adding digital capabilities, the ability to work in sort of the next generation of what advertising looks like on the sales side, and we call that Fusion.
Interesting. So let's talk about some of the current challenges that are facing the media industry. Media organizations are having a lot to do with cross-selling media or, cross-channel campaigns. You also have to deal with the issue of alternative ratings currencies. Are there solutions or ways that WideOrbit addresses these challenges?
So, yes, Emily. So that tool set that's called WO Fusion, there's a module in it, which we have lots of 3-letter acronyms we call CNS. It's a consolidated network solution. And we don't call them alternate currencies, but just alternate measurements. So we allow alternate measurements to come into the system, and they can take those reads on their inventory and for the network side in the upfronts, go to market with a combined proposal that includes both the digital aspect of it as well as the linear broadcast aspect of it. And they're able to apply additional custom audience information and actually use different measurement services as well. So that was the first step, was to be able to propose it and sell it in a combined package. The next thing, though, is they need to execute these campaigns. So you've bought something, you need to make sure that what you've actually sold is actually being served. And that just, it took me a long time to figure this out, but the main difference between programmatic and direct sold is programmatic means the agency or the trading desk is responsible for executing the campaign. When you direct sell it, it's the seller's responsibility to deliver what the buyer's asked for. So we built out a full stewardship and like liability management module that can operate on these alternate currencies. So a broadcaster, cable net, etc., is able to sell it, propose it, and actually execute on it, measure it, manage it, and then bill for it as well through our software. I
really appreciated that definition of the delineation, rather, of programmatic.
Thank you.
I think that's a topic that's thrown around a lot, and people really do need to understand how the technologies are delivering differently and the different rights and responsibilities that are inherent in that choice. So it's everywhere right now. Where do you see the future of programmatic lying for all of us in the broadcast industry, and as well for WideOrbit specifically?
So, as you said, programmatic means many, many different things to many different people. I look at it as who's responsible for the delivery. It was initially RTB, another 3 letters, right? Real-time bidding. Other people call it race to the bottom. We look at it as a marketplace that machines can actually do the transactions on, but we don't want to remove the people from the process. And so we first built our first marketplace modeled OpenRTB, and we let people bid on station inventory, 30-minute blocks of time. That was okay, and it was trying to do what digital wanted, but it wasn't really what the buy side wanted, and it meant that all the hook for delivery was on the buying platform to actually execute. So we've evolved that into sort of a next generation marketplace, and this marketplace is designed so that a digital first native who's thinking about an insertion order. So they have an audience goal, they have a CPM, they have flight dates and the number of impressions they want to get. So they can look at the world in that way. And traditionally broadcasters look at it as spots and rates. So we allow the buyer to put it in a format that models what digital looks like, but present it over to a station in a model that they're looked to. And the piece that is special about that alone isn't super special, but it is special still. But the piece that's really special is the middle. Historically, the SSPs and DSPs, the buying side and selling side had different metrics. One wanted to, charge the most for it. The other one wanted to pay the least for it. Our model is not about highest and lowest prices. Our model is about getting the campaign executed. So we will take that campaign and organize it and present it to the sellers based upon the highest probability that the units will clear, right? We don't want make goods. We don't want this whole preempt model. We want to make sure that what the buyer wants to buy can be delivered to, it can be executed on. The sellers will honor up to what that is. So programmatic to us is not taking people out of the picture. It's about adding automation, and it's making it easier to buy and sell media.
You're kind of offering a translation and a vetting service in one in that offering.
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing, I've heard a lot of people say, like, it's all impressions. It's just impressions. An impression is an impression is an impression. I kind of have a different view on that, right? So if you're a seller and you have to determine what should my CPM be, right? Like there's two. If you know about the buyer and you know who they are and you have a history and you know what the demand is, that's one thing. But if you don't really know who it is, what's an impression worth? So it's worth what someone will pay for it. But if you don't know that, I believe there are 3 characteristics. It's the audience that's being targeted, which is the most important piece. It's the experience or the context. So a 30-second commercial on a big screen TV set is not the same as a 30-second commercial on your mobile phone. It's not the same as watching it in a YouTube style video versus premium content. That experience impacts what the price of that impression should be. And the third thing is, what's the unduplicated reach I can get from that? Because the last thing I want is to buy the same audience over and over and over again. So as we move forward to an impression-based selling model, that is absolutely the future. But serving our customers, which are traditionally the publishers, we want to make sure they are able to monetize to the best of their abilities.
I think it's interesting that you brought up the different qualities of impressions, and I think, if I understand correctly, science backs you up on that in terms of how our brains interpret the information differently based on the delivery platform, and so it's really smart to be able to offer that qualitative analysis. Sort of.
When you're digital first, and it started obviously in display, etc., there was so much available inventory. They were just trying to get someone to buy it. Our customers have premium, high quality content, right? We do not want to make it so that it's the same across the board. We really think there's high value in that personalization, the community sense. A lot of our folks are call letter TV stations. It's important that they're trusted for their news content, etc., and their impressions are worth more.
That's an excellent point. So let's talk about something other than marketplaces. Could you tell us about some of the other ways WideOrbit is helping automate spot TV transactions for stations and networks?
Absolutely. So our foundation was to help that sort of back office. We've moved upstream. We try to do everything now from pitch to payment. The one area that has been manual forever is the buy comes in, it gets slotted, and then the creative schedule comes in, and often that's called material instructions or copy instructions. Sometimes they say continuity. That was a manual, literally email or fax, and then hand keying of that into the trafficking system. So we've built a solution to allow, we call it EMI, or electronic material instructions. A agency's trafficking system can send a format that we can ingest and apply that instruction directly into the trafficking system. So that removes a whole bunch of manual labor. There is nothing worse than fat figuring a ad ID or ISKI code. It's the bane of most people that are doing copy. And being able to not only have it come in automatically, but also provide feedback to the agency trafficking system that went incorrectly, and handle revisions. So revisions are happening all the time. You know, most of our customers literally have filing cabinets of what these copy instructions should be.
Yeah.
They need to make sure that they've done it, and now that it can be automated and cuts down on the human labor of all that, I think it's a huge win for the industry as well. So we're excited. The whole thing is, right, this business is fantastic, broadcasting in general. Let's make it easier to transact it, and let's remove a lot of the pain from sort of that back office. So
I think that's a really great way to leave us off, and thank you, Will.
thank you, Emily. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.